All right, guys, I got an update on the CaPIECE build, and then I'm going to update you a little bit on the twin turbo Crown Vic build too. Since I was having issues on the CaPIECE with it overheating randomly, and just like a temperature creep issue where it would just start creeping in temperature. And what was weird about the problem is I wasn't getting heat coming out of the fans of the radiator. Like it was like the water pump wasn't circulating water. So what I did, and what I thought had fixed it, but it turned out it didn't, was move my heater hose to the top of the water pump instead of to the tank on the cold side of the radiator. I thought maybe the water pump was cavitating, maybe the I don't know if they call that a weep hole, but the second hole on the right hand head. But it's just and that's to keep the water pump so it doesn't get vapor lock. That's all that hole does. I thought maybe that was clogged or something, so that's why I removed the heater hose to the top of the water pump. And it seemed to have fixed it until the very next drive after that. I posted that video, I took it on a drive, and well, the temperature started creeping, but this is where it gets really, really weird. The temperature started creeping up only on the right-hand head. The left head was running exactly with the thermostat. The right head, temperature was just creeping up and up and up. It got all the way up to 270. And I literally was just like, that can't be right. I'm just going to drive it back. So I just ignored it. And then it would go down every once in a while and then come back up and down and up. But it got up to 270 a couple times on the way back. So once I got back, I turned it off. It dieseled because it was hot. I'm like, uh-oh, maybe it was actually hot. I get my temperature sensor out, just laser temperature gun. And the left-hand head was running normal, was 170-ish. The right head was 270-ish. So I was overheating on one head, which is really weird. Now this is the thing that it kind of blows my mind, because normally, had I not been running this EFI where I have a sensor on now both sides, I have the Holly is reading off the right hand and the odometer gauge is running off the left head, I would never know this was an issue. If this was carbureted, normally you put the sensor, most cars are wired for the sensor to be on the driver's side, so you'd never know that this was an issue. Anyway, so I ended up removing the thermostat, and then both sides run exactly the same. So I have some sort of a cavitation issue with the thermostat in there to where it's favoring all the water going through the left head. But when I take the thermostat out and leave it out, granted, the car never warms up if you're driving down the highway. I mean, it literally was running at like 145 down the highway. But both heads are running exactly the same. So removing the thermostat worked. So my next step is going to be, I ordered a high flow thermostat, and I'm going to drill basically oversized weep holes in it. And what's nice is I can actually monitor both sides on it. So feeling it's more to do with the high flow water pump. And it's trying to move more water that can actually move, and it causes cavitation. So I don't know. It's like having too aggressive of a. I actually don't know. I shouldn't correlate it to something I know nothing about, like props on. I know props are a huge deal on boats, like race boats and stuff. The wrong prop can just destroy the performance. So now onto the Crown Vic. So I'm having more problems with this thing. And what the problems were is last fall, if you follow along on this car, we raced it. Well, I don't know how this came through in the video, but I hot lapped the living crap out of this car. I think I did 5 passes in a row. It was like a private rental quarter-mile drag strip, and I literally was just going, whoa, you know, I ran it, and the car doesn't care. You just run it and run it and run it, and it was good. Well, anyway, I pulled the car out this year, out of the trailer. It sat in the trailer all winter, and it won't make boost now. It makes like 2 pounds of boost, and it's very, very slow to get there. So I checked the in-play on the turbos, and there's a crap ton of in-play. So we wiped out our cheap Chinese turbos, I believe. But what I was doing, or why I pulled the car in, I was adding an intercooler to it because we're upgrading this car a little bit so it can compete with the Caprice on the racetrack, because my butt dyno says that the Caprice is going to be a little bit faster than this car. So I wanted to get this car dialed in a little bit so they're a little closer. Plus, I wasn't thrilled with the performance of this car anyway. It was only running like a 13.99 in the quarter, and a lot of that was due to the lag of the turbos and it being a manual and me not having a 3-step. Do any of you know, because I cannot find one for the life of me, a 3-step for a 4.6 mod motor? I got a 2-step, for launch, and that's great. But I can't flat pedal shift it because the factory rev limiter cuts fuel and spark, so you lose boost no matter what. Anyway, so I have the lag every time, which is like, you know, probably only a tenth. It feels like a month, but it's probably like a tenth of a second every time of lag. And that adds up by the end of the quarter mile. So we're also going to re-gear it. So I got some, I'm going to call them stage 2 cheap China knockoff turbos, max Peating turbos with billet impellers. So we're going to be replacing these. It's pretty much a bolt-in replacement. But the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to get the intake air cleaners. I'm actually going to put those underneath the seat in the back seat, because that way it's drawing colder air than hot air from underneath the car on hot asphalt. That'll cool it down. I already got the intercooler installed. There'll be a video on that coming out soon, so it's right there. And then I'll be putting tailpipes on it. So then I'm moving the mufflers because they drive me nuts. Not because the mufflers are crap, but because the install, it looks so terrible. Things like this drive me absolutely crazy. So do you see how crooked they are? That there's nothing you can do about it because these turbos aren't mirror images of each other. So the outlet on this turbo is low and the outlet on this turbo is high because it's just upside down. So it drives me nuts. So they're starting at different spots, so the angles are different from one turbo to the other. So anyway, so I'm going to be putting tailpipes on it. We're going to move those mufflers back to the back where they are in the factory location. So that car will end up having full exhaust. So and that's such a nice street driver. That it'll actually be real nice having the car very quiet on the inside, because it's a pretty quiet car. It's really nice to drive. It still gets really good gas mileage. It runs smooth. It shifts good. Everything about the car is great. And then it runs like a 13.99 in the quarter. I'm hoping to get that down into the low 13s just by tuning it, because keep in mind we're still running a junkyard motor on that thing. It's a watt block from an Explorer that the only mod done to it is, other than maintenance stuff, and then I gapped the rings, and that's it. Otherwise, it's a completely stock motor with larger injectors, turbos, and a tune. So that's about all that's been done to it. So anyway, that's what's coming up on the channel. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. If you haven't seen the CaPIECE build video, it's my favorite video I've ever made, and it didn't get any love. It has really good feedback, but for some reason, it's just not getting any views, and it's not getting pushed anymore. So anyway, check that video out. It's again my favorite video I've ever made. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.